Hello. Part 4 of 4. My thoughts on the Quran after I read it. But without taking notes, I wasn't thinking about making this video while I was reading it. These are things that are bizarre to me. In the Quran, it makes several mentions, at least more than once, that in paradise you will not have to go to the bathroom. No crapping and pissing. Urination. My religion doesn't tell me whether I'm going to need to do that in the celestial kingdom, or if I screw up and end up somewhere else, those in the other places, they will need to do that. I don't understand what's so bad about it that I should, jump for joy that I will not have to do that in the future. And the Kaaba. That's when a religion builds a monument and people that follow that religion do things to that monument, go into that building, or if you're talking about idol worshippers worshipping an idol that was built by that religion, that makes sense in a way. I may not agree with it, but it makes sense. But the Kaaba predates Muhammad. The Kaaba was used by pagan polytheists for their worship. So why would you make a big deal out of it? Why would you face it? Facing it every time you pray, looks like you're almost praying to it. Muslims do say Allahu Akbar and say the name of God when they're praying, and don't say Kaaba, oh Kaaba, but still pointing in that one place, and this could be argued as idol worship. One of the stories towards the end of the Quran is about a elephant army sent from Ethiopia through Yemen to attack the city of Mecca, and the birds dropped little pellets that dissolve things. Maybe couldn't translate it acid pellets. It actually lye dissolves things too. Well, dropped pellets that dissolved things that destroyed that army. Why? It's bizarre. It seems bizarre to me for Allah to care about a building that pagans are using to not worship Him. And I would think about direction of prayer. The Quran mentions Christians and Jews praying in certain directions. I've heard of Jews praying facing towards the temple or Jerusalem when they pray. I'm not sure how widespread that is, but Christians? I never heard of a Christian that points in one certain direction when they pray. Now, there are Christian idol worshippers who point towards the nearest Mary statue, or the nearest what's his name? Christopher something or other. But then it's not one location on Earth, or one centralized statue. It's the nearest idol of that kind that they're pointing towards. So maybe there were a handful of Christians that did point to one certain spot on the earth and not just the nearest Mary idol. But bizarre, I never heard of that before. And said something about Jews believing that there's a Son of God? I never heard of that anywhere outside of the Quran. That Jews believe that there's a Son of God? Maybe there were a handful of Jews. You just need a handful of people who are of one kind of belief to believe something, and then you can't say the Quran was, accusing people of what they weren't doing. Maybe there were a handful of Jews, but I never heard of Jews believing that there's a Son of God. And those are my thoughts on the Quran after reading through it. Thank you. You have a good day.